close now. Settle in. This is not a comfortable story, but it is a true one, in the way that nightmares are true. It happened in the time of the Spanish Inquisition, when men in black robes held the power of life and death, and used it without mercy. Our man, we never learn his name, and perhaps that is the point. He stood before the tribunal, sick with exhaustion, sick with fear. He watched the lips of the judges move. He saw the candles on the long table, 7 of them, burning like white angels or white accusers. He could no longer tell which. The sentence was passed. He understood it in his bones before his mind could catch up. And then, darkness. Not sleep. Not peace. Simply the world going out. Like a flame pinched between cold fingers. He fell. Or the room fell away from him. There is a difference. And in that moment, he could not say which it was. He woke. If waking is the right word for returning to a place worse than dreams, he could not see. Not dimly. Not poorly. Not at all. The darkness was total. Absolute. The kind of darkness that presses against your open eyes like velvet, and you begin to wonder whether your eyes are open at all. He lay still and he listened. Silence. A silence so deep it had texture. He reached out his hands and felt stone beneath him. Cold. Damp. With a slickness he did not want to think about. He was alive. That much was certain. But where? He thought of the stories. The dungeons of the Inquisition. The cells that no one ever described, because no one ever came back to describe them. He sat up slowly. His lips were parched, his throat raw. But somewhere, someone had left him water and meat. He found them by touch, like a blind man learning a new and terrible room. He ate. He drank. And he tried to think. He decided he must know the shape of his prison. He tore a strip from his robe, fixed one end to the wall, and began to walk. Carefully, carefully, counting his steps, trailing that thin thread behind him, like a man trying to map the inside of a nightmare. The floor was uneven, slippery in places. He walked and he counted. Then his foot slipped, and he fell, forward onto his chest, his chin striking the stone hard, and below his outstretched hand, nothing. He felt air, a deep, whispering air rising from somewhere far, far below. He lay perfectly still, breathing in shallow sips, and he understood. A pit. At the center of the cell, a pit with no bottom he could measure. He found a loose stone and dropped it in. He listened. 1 second. 2. 3. And then, faintly, a splash. Water. Far below. Or something else. He pressed himself back from the edge and did not move for a long, long time. He slept again. He could not help it. And when he woke, there was light. A thin, sulphurous glow seeping through the walls, somehow. Just enough to see. And oh, how he wished he could not see. The cell was smaller than he had imagined. The walls were painted with figures. Demons and skeletons, hideous faces grinning from the stone. And above him, he saw it. A painted figure of Father Time. And from it, descending on a long pendulum, a crescent of steel. A blade. Sharp as a whisper. Wide as a reaping scythe. It swung back and forth, with a sound like the slow breathing of something patient and ancient. And it was lower than it had been. He was certain of it. Lower than it had been, and lower still with each long, sighing sweep. He was bound to a wooden frame, flat on his back, arms at his sides. He could not move. He could only watch the pendulum breathe its way toward him. Inch by terrible inch, hours passed, or days. He had lost the ability to tell time by anything but the pendulum's descent. The blade was close enough now that he could feel the air it displaced. A cold kiss along his chest with each swing. He forced himself to think. The pit had been their first plan for him. He had stumbled away from it by luck alone. Now they meant the pendulum to finish what the pit had not. But his hands were bound, yes, but not his fingers entirely. In the meat they had left him, there was still some remaining near the frame. He smeared it along the cords that held him, as best he could reach. And then he waited. The rats came. They always came. Great gray bodies swarming up the frame, drawn by the scent, frantic and fearless. They gnawed at the cords. He lay still, still as stone, still as death, while the pendulum sang its cold song above him. And then, one by one, the bonds gave way. He rolled free. The blade swept through empty air where his heart had been. He stood. He breathed. He was alive. But the room was not finished with him. Even as he found his feet, he felt something shift. A low vibration, more felt than heard, moving through the stone floor and up into his bones. The walls, the painted walls with their leering faces, they were moving. Slowly, horribly, they had begun to fold inward, glowing now with a fierce and terrible heat. Each demon face lit from within like a lantern. The cell was shrinking. He could see the pit clearly now, the pit that had always been the true destination. They would not let the blade have him. No, they would herd him, like a frightened animal, to the edge. The walls pressed closer. The heat rose. He pressed himself to the center of the room, then closer to the pit's edge than he had ever dared stand. The floor narrowed. The glowing walls hissed and groaned. He could feel the open air of the pit at his heels. 1 inch more. Half an inch. He closed his eyes. He had no more prayers left to give. And then, sound. Tremendous sound. Like the world cracking open at its seams. Trumpets. Voices. The deep thunder of cannon and of men. The walls stopped. In the space of a single heartbeat, they stopped. A cry rang out. Many voices, French voices, and the iron doors burst inward as though struck by the hand of God. Light came flooding in. Real light. Daylight. The most beautiful thing he had ever known. A hand caught him at the very edge of the pit. Strong fingers closed around his arm and pulled him back from the dark. General Lassalle stood there, his officers behind him. The French army flooding the corridors of that terrible place. The Inquisition was fallen. The doors were open. The torches were out. He stood blinking in the light like a man newborn, trembling from his heels to his hair. And outside, oh, listen now. Outside, the air was open and the sky was wide. And somewhere in this world there was still birdsong. Still the smell of morning. Still, impossibly, the warmth of the sun.